Hello and welcome to Granny J Clay. Today I'm going to make my first clay video. I have made another video, but that was an introductory video. But today we're actually going to do hands-on claying. When I do this, you're going to just sit with me through what I would do every day on my own. I had given some thought to maybe I should dress up, maybe I should make things a certain way and just really prepare everything perfectly. But you know what? I think if I did that, I wouldn't want to make a clay video very often. So you're going to catch me in the raw, and you're going to see my good points and my bad points and my blunders and hopefully some good things as well. So here we go. Stick with me. All right, as we begin now, I'm going to show you the clay I'm going to use. I use Primo clay, Primo Sculpey. I have white here and I have black here. I will be using the white clay today. As you can see, I've already torn the wrapper off part way. But Primo Sculpey is a very good clay. It's a very solid clay when you bake it. I have been using it for many years and you can always count on it. And they're not paying me to say that. I don't have anybody that is sponsoring me, so just know that throughout the video when I talk about things, it's because I really do like them. And let's get started here. I'm going to put the black aside. I order them in 1 pound bulk size because I go through so much of it. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut off 2 squares of this, and the clay, or excuse me, the blade that I'm using is I bought at Home Depot, and it just is in the blades section. I'll show it to you in just a second. I'm going to set the rest of this clay aside because we're not going to need it. I cut 2 squares off, but this blade is has handles on it because I put them on there. I put Suguru, I think it's Suguru or Suguru, something like that. It's a hardener. I put a little piece of blue here and a little piece of blue here, shaped them to mold them into little handles and let them set for a number of hours, and then came back to it and they were hard, and now I have handles for my blade, which is wonderful. Sometimes I sharpen my blade with some sandpaper as well, but I have other blades to use too. So just so you know, this is one of the tools that I use a lot when I do claying. All right, now what I'm going to do is roll out one of these squares for you. And I'm using an acrylic roller. I'm going to flatten out this square a little bit before I put it into my pasta machine so that I can flatten it even further. But this is an acrylic roller that I bought at either Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I generally buy from either of those 2 stores, sometimes from Walmart, sometimes from Target, but the tools generally from one of the hobby stores. So that's the acrylic roller. So I get it flattened a little bit, and then I take it over to my pasta machine. I have an Atlas 180 pasta machine, which is a little bit wider in the roller than the Pasta 150, if you're familiar with pasta machines. I'm going to run it through right now, and hopefully you will have seen a pasta machine before, but I will show this to you down the road a ways too when I make other videos. Right now I can't adjust my camera to see that, but I want you to see that it flattened it. This is what it was before, and now this is what it turned into. And the reason I roll it through the pasta machine, and you always want to put the folded side in first so you can get rid of as much of the air that has come into this area when you folded it as possible, if that made sense. Anyway, I'm going to roll it again. Rolling it is conditioning the clay. Again, the folded part into your pasta machine like this. We'll go over a pasta machine later on, not in this video, but I'm going to do it one more time. Working with white clay is a little bit tedious because it just picks everything up. Everything you don't want it to pick up. Excuse me. All right, we've got that now all ready to go. And what I want to do now is I want to look to see if there's anything on the clay that I picked up from the pasta machine. Oftentimes there will be residue of other clay in the pasta machine, and when that happens, then I take this tool that you can get at Hobby Lobby in the clay section or Michael's in the clay section, and I scrape off like that anything that I don't want, and then I take it and I put it into my scrap clay pile. Just push it down, the clay releases into the pile, and I put my pile back. That scrap clay will be used, excuse me, I have to blow my nose. This is real time, folks. That scrap clay will be used in another video, so you can see what I do with it. I never throw away clay, unless it has a piece of lint or a hair or something like that in it. Then I would throw it away. So now I have this flat sheet. And what I want to do is I want to get out my stamp. I have several stamps, and as you can see, these are the stamps. I have a Hope stamp, which is that one, which I've already made, so you can see that. I have the Joy stamp, and I've already made that. And then I have another stamp that is not a word, but it's leaves in a vine. And it's identical to these stamps, the way they're made. It's just that they're not a word. And what you can do is you can take the stamp from the back and just peel it right off. Now I have peeled off the stamp that I want to use. It's the love, the word love. Sorry, I peeled it off and put it over here before. And so here is the word love, and I'm going to take it, and I'm going to do it so you can see it your way. And I'm going to place it on the clay. I see that I have something on it, so I'm going to just wipe it off. These are little hand wipes, and I'll show you that. Just like this. I keep them handy all the time. I go through these like crazy. And I know other clayers use little wipes as well. They have a little alcohol in them, and so they're very helpful when it comes to tidying up and getting things ready to be clean and ready for use. So I cleaned this up. This is ready to go. The clay is ready to go. I'm going to lay it down right there, and then I'm going to grab my cutter. Now this is a cookie cutter that comes from a place called Fat Daddy-O's. Fat Daddy-O's nylon cutters. These are wonderful. You folks will just love these if you don't already have them. They are absolutely a must when I clay. You can get different sizes, obviously, within the set. They're a little bit more expensive, and I can't remember exactly how much they were right now, but I do remember they were a little expensive, but they're worth every single penny. They're wonderful. Fat Daddy-O's nylon cutter set is what that says. So go on the internet and find it and order some. I've got some in different sizes, squares and oblong and so forth. But, all right, I put my stamp here. I want to make sure that my cutter is going to fit around it. This cutter is, let me measure it here. By the way, I'm using a Memory Keepers glass board to work on, and I love it because of the measurements on it. This is approximately a 3-inch cutter, very close to it. And I have been making things, medallions this large for a while now. They are just so substantial and large, and you can use them as either a decoration for a Christmas tree or on your wall, or you can use them for a necklace, whatever you would like. You might even have noticed some things behind me where the necklaces have medallions on. So I'm going to put this here. Hi, honey. My husband's in it for just a minute and out again. Did you want to say something?
I need to look for my phone.
He's looking for his phone, which is a regular occurrence around our house. All right, so I'm going to show you how to put the stamp on. What I do is I just very lightly press it in. When you press a stamp in like this, you can do it this way, or you can take an acrylic block if it's sticky, and you can stick it to this acrylic block and press it in. This particular stamp does not have a sticky side. So I am just going to do it with my fingers. Sometimes when I press them in, I get some funny ridges that I do not want. But I work with it and try to get it out. Working with clay takes a lot of patience. And so you have to exhibit patience when you're working with clay. All right, I impressed it, and there we have it. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but there are some ridges, some lines just around the edge from this stamp that I would not want in my final piece. So generally what I do, I will take something to try to get that out. Sometimes it's my finger, and I'll just rub the ridges until they're gone if they're light. And it looks like it's going to work somewhat this time. Just rub around the edges and get them out. And yes, that leaves fingerprints, but you can get rid of those as well later on. And if you don't get rid of your ridges, excuse me, then sometimes the Pearl X can get into the ridges. And you'll see that because I'm sure I'm not getting all of them. But I'm trying to get them all out for you. I apologize for my hands. They look pretty tough. I always battle with dry skin, and clay seems to make it even more dry. All right, I see a little something here that I want to get out, so I'm going to use my tool. As you can see, it's got clay on it, but I'm going to use my tool to get that off. See if I can scrape that off without causing too much of a problem, and I did. Clay, or white clay, just shows everything. I may have said that already, but it does. All right, so now we have already. Okay, my husband continuing to look for his phone. Did you hear that go off? It's real time, folks. It's real time. I'm going to lift this up once. I'm going to take a blade that's longer and it's flexible. Some of my blades are not flexible. You can buy these also at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. This is not flexible. This is a long blade, and it's not flexible, and I use that for different reasons too. But I'm using a flexible blade to try to loosen this up before I continue. All right, loosen it up, and then I take this blade and I just scrape the residue off so it doesn't stick. I'm just going to lay it down here, and now I'm going to show you how to apply the Pearl X powder. This is Pearl X. This is a mica powder that you can use to put on any project that you have with clay. This is Aztec Gold, my very favorite gold. There are different gold colors, but this is my favorite. It's so pretty and bright, and it's what I used on these pieces. So you can see that it just gives you a wonderful shine. So I'm going to open that up. Pearl X needs to be rubbed into, and I've got just a Craft Smart, I think it says Craft Smart brush, which is just a cheap brush from Michael's. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to brush on the Pearl X powder. So I'm going to put it into, make sure I get it into the ridges first, like that. I want all of the Pearl X that I can possibly get into the ridges, like that. And yes, it looks like it makes a mess, and it does, and you should probably wear a mask. You can inhale these powders. So I have a mask that I use. I have goggles that I use sometimes for other things, because something could fly into your eye otherwise. So just be wise and be careful as you do this. There. I think I've got enough on there. I'll just kind of pound my brush off back into the Pearl X. Put the lid on. Again, I'll show you it so you know what it is. Pearl X Powdered Pigments Aztec Gold. Set this aside. Now I'm going to take one of these wipes that I showed you, and I'm going to wipe my hands off a bit. And now I'm going to bring back my flexible blade and kind of lift this up again, because I sort of made it stick again to the Memory Keeper's glass board here. It's not a board, but tabletop. Anyway, now I'm going to take this, I'm going to try to get rid of most of the extra that you can see there. And what I do is I just take it, hold it over the garbage can, and very easily with this big fat brush, it's a cheap brush, it's a Craft Smart 5/8 inch, I just brush it off as much as I possibly can, very carefully and very softly. So I'm going to do that. My garbage can is right here. And I think you all know what a garbage can looks like, but I'm just brushing lightly like this. And I got it all off, I think. Make sure I've got some off of here before I come back. Also, I have old dish towels that come in handy, and I just usually lay one right over my lap. Once I have wiped my surface off, I like to make it dry again. So there it is. And now you're thinking, well, that's fine, but how did you get it to be clean? And look, and so you can just see the word on it. Well, what you do is you use tape. You use tape. I have strapping tape that you can use. I have masking tape that you can use. That's pretty wide. And I have painter's tape that you can use. So I have three tapes, but I'm going to use a little strapping tape at first. Sorry about the noise. And let you see how this works. All you do is lay it over, and then you just kind of burnish with your finger. Burnish or rub with your finger. And you don't want to press hard because you don't want to pick up any Pearl Ex up out of the crevices. You want that to stay. All right. You see how that picks it up? Obviously, you're going to have to do it several times, but do you see how wonderful that works? And I'm going to use this end, which I didn't use before, and just kind of use that and pull that up. Use this end, rub it a little bit, pull that up. You see how that works? Now you can go through this whole thing and continue to do this. I'll do a couple more for you. And you can clean it up so that it looks just like this. That is how I did this one, and it's how I did this one, and it's how I did this one. So it works. You just, as I said, need some patience. There we go. Looks like I got a little bubble there that I didn't see before. Usually if you have a bubble in clay, you can take your blade and slice it a little bit and get the air out. You really don't want bubbles in your finished work. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to let it sit there for now. And I'll show you how to get bubbles out on another day. But I just want you to see how you can get this wonderful Pearl Ex effect on a piece. All right. See how that pulls it off? You can imagine now, I think, how you can get this perfectly clean and just see the word. It's really looking good. Maybe I'll just go a few more times. I started in clay several years ago, and I had gone to a craft fair and I saw some cute little bunnies. And I thought, oh, those are so darling. And the gal said they were made out of clay. Then she had a class, and so I took the class, and oh boy, for years I made little bunnies. Years and years. And I took many pictures of those bunnies, and somewhere in our moves, we used to live in South Dakota, we now live in Kansas, but somewhere along the way, my album got lost with all my pictures, and I would imagine it's probably hiding in a box somewhere. But we have not been able to find it. Those ridges in there are just not fun. I don't know if you can see those. Let me point here. This is one of the dental tools that I have. My nephew Steve and his wife Teresa were gracious enough to give me some old dental tools. Steve is a dentist, and so I am so thankful I have used these and used these and used these. I'm going to pop that little bubble with this. There. And I'm going to come back in and see if I can smooth it a little bit with a ball tool. These are ball tools, and you can buy these also at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I have several different ones. You use the ball end for, many things, but they have ends on them that you can use for different purposes as well. Let's see. Okay, these are kind of probably dirty a little bit because I've been using them. But here's a wider point, thinner point, and a flat point. not point, but a flatter end. And you do use them for different things. All right. So now we've gone through that. Now what I want to do is I kind of want to get that burnished in there. So I'm going to take just a regular index card, lay it white side down, and come in with my little burnishing tool. I've got a couple of them. Let's see where I put my other one. Let's see it. Oh, there it is. Sorry about that. Here's a burnishing tool that I bought at Michael's. But this I bought over the internet, and it's a steel soap bar. Yes, steel. It is supposed to be something you wash your hands with, and it's supposed to remove any odors, like onion odors, garlic odors, whatever. But what I bought it for was to use for burnishing my clay, and it works great. Now, I've got a little divot right there, so I'm going to just take it and very lightly, because I don't want to, I don't want to get rid or flatten my word. But that worked pretty well to get rid of that. All right, I'll put that back over here. Now, as you can see, along the edges here, let's see, let's point it out with this tool maybe. Right here, and right here, and here, and a little bit around this way, are some lines that I really don't want. You could leave them in if you wanted to. I'm going to use one more piece of tape, but this time I'm going to use my masking tape and see if I can get a little bit more of that up. If not, it's not a big deal, and I will get it later when I'm off camera. Yeah, it's going to come up. I can see. Do you see that? So I just have to spend some time with it, and it's going to come off of there. But due to time, I want to continue on. So I'm going to, if you were doing this, spend all the time you need to remove the extra Pearl Ex. You only want the word to show. Sometimes you can press other things around the edges. I had used another little stamp, and I had pressed that stamp around the edges of the word hope, and I filled those with Pearl Ex too, and it just made it so pretty, didn't it? So you can do that. And once this was baked and done, I added the little dots. That's actually acrylic paint in groups of 3. Okay? All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to loosen this from the glass, and I'm going to make the next piece. So let's get the roller. What I'm doing is creating a back. Let me show you this. Do you see this? It's about a 1/4 inch maybe, if that thick. What I want it to be is double that. I like a substantial piece, something that feels a little heavier. And that's really kind of in style right now for necklaces as well. So, a little bit of larger medallion, and then beads. Of course, you string it with beads to make a necklace. Anyway, so I'm going to make the back, and I want to show you the back of this. There you go. This I used a certain texture on, and I think I used the same texture on that one. So you can see the texture on here. I see there's a little bit of gold back there. Anyway, and then I stamped my initials. I have a little stamp with my initials, and I can tell you more about that too if you want one. I ordered it over the internet from a lady over in Europe, actually. She was most accommodating. So that's that. But today, when I prepare the back for you today, I want to use different texture. Actually, my favorite texture. So again, I am preparing this to go into the pasta machine to flatten it and to condition it more. When you condition clay, I think I may have said this, but if I didn't, it releases particles in the clay that need to be released and spread around. When you condition clay, it's going to work much better for you. You won't get the cracks or the breakage. So make sure you condition your clay well. Again, it takes patience to do that, but You need to have patience when you work with clay, that's for sure. All right, you can see right here perhaps, right there, there is a little bit of black. It's picking residue up off of my, maybe there too a little bit. It's picking residue off of the, and more here. I'm going to add that to my clay pile here and use that on another day. All right. And I'm going to roll this one more time. All right, that looks pretty good. And I'm going to use my clay roller just to kind of roll over it a little bit before I start. And now I'm going to get out another piece of texture out of my texture bin. And this is the texture I'm going to use. This is rubber. And I'm sure you've seen these. You can use them for various things. I picked this up at Bed Bath & Beyond. And I think it came in a stack of 6 or 8, something like that. Very cheap. But I like it because of the bumps on it. And so what I do is I take it and I put it on my clay. And I put it on the side of the clay after I've checked my clay out. This side, see, that has residue. So I'm using this side that doesn't have any residue. And that side, where I lay my texture sheet, will be the back of my piece, like this. Only this is a different texture. So I'm going to run it through my pasta machine right now for you. Crank, crank. And ta-da! There's the texture. Isn't that pretty? I just really like it. Now is when I usually put my initial on, so I decide which way I want to do that. I will probably, I'm going to do it for you that way. Pick a space. I don't want to do it right on the end because I need, in fact, why don't I just cut that off, what I'm not going to use. There we go. I'm not going to use that. Not going to use that or that. Whoops. I guess I can kind of eye how much I need right now because I have done this so many times. However, always check with your cutter, whatever cutter you're using. So there's that. Now I'm going to put in my initials. I'll put them in so you can see them your way. And I leave a space here because I want the cookie cutter to go around it. I don't know if you can see that very well. Sometimes on white clay you can't see it as well. But I don't want to press too hard because it does make an impression on the other side, and I don't want to go through the clay. So now I'm going to turn it over, and remember that my initials are right there, so this is going to be on the inside. I'm going to bring this over here. But before I do that, I have something called Genesis, and it's something that just looks like Vaseline, I think. Kind of looks like Vaseline to me. And I take my finger, and what this does, and I don't use that much of it. I probably can't see it on white very well, but I spread it around. And making sure that I have the whole area where I'm going to cut. And then I take my thing and look at it. You can see it when you look at it straight down. And yep, I've applied enough. This just is going to sandwich my two pieces together well, so that I don't get air pockets. You don't want air pockets in your pieces. Sometimes it just can't be helped. They show up. But if you can help it, if you can do anything to help it, then you should. There are other products on the market that are available that people use as well. But I am sticking to this right now. This has worked so well for me. Genesis. I ordered it over the internet. Artistic Colors, it says. Heat set artistic oils. And I bake my clay. This is supposed to be baked at least at 265, and I bake my clay for 1 full hour at 275 always. And I'm going to get to that in just a minute here. So that definitely is going to heat set this. So it will work well. All right. Now what I want to do is make sure, and I know my initials are about right there, so I'm going to make sure I lay this over my textured backing sheet just right. Okay? And then I'm going to pull out some clear wrap, clear plastic wrap, just like that. Take a sheet to lay over that. And, you know, they don't have the best cutters on these plastic sheets always. I have a garbage can down beneath me where I stick